Hi everyone and welcome to Arteza Art Camp. My name's Alexandra Stapleton Smith from the Hedgehog Hollow, and today we're talking all about the Arteza alcohol markers. So I'm going to be telling you a bit more about them. Every day we're mastering a different medium. So I hope you are enjoying Art Camp. I'm super excited to show you the way I use these markers, which is probably totally different from some of the other instructors because in all honesty, I can't draw. I stamp, I use my Cricut, I use stencils, I make backgrounds with them. I do some really pretty things with the pens, but I definitely have no artist skills. So you can find out some different ways to master those pens with me during this stream. So welcome back. I hope you're enjoying Art Camp. And let's find out a little bit more. So this is the pack that Arteza sent me here. You can see it comes in this really nice carry case. And this is the large pack. So I think from memory, it's 120 EverBlend, which is their version of an alcohol marker. So alcohol markers, if you haven't used them before, they're obviously alcohol based from the name, but also you can use them on non-porous surfaces. So you can use them on glass, you can use them on tiles and ceramics and things like that. They're going to dry on any surface. You can also use them on paper, which is what we're going to do today. And I'm going to show you them on a UPO or acrylic paper. You can do this same technique on your vinyl, like your Arteza vinyl. So it's going to work on lots and lots of different surfaces, and they'll behave slightly different depending on the surface as well. So this is the case that they come in, and you can see I have all the colors here in this gorgeous rainbow. The sides of this open up like so. And you can get different sizes of sets as well with different amounts of markers in. You have a portion here for every set. And you could write perhaps, like in Sharpie or something, what number goes where. And they do have a naming convention so you can work out what order your markers go in. So first of all, I want to show you about making backgrounds. Now to make backgrounds, I'm going to grab myself a piece of paper towel just to protect my surface. You can use anything you like. And this is an acrylic paper. You can also use vinyl, HTV, which Arteza have. So anything really non-porous is going to work for this particular technique. But we're going to grab out a few colors. So I'm going to grab some blues, some purples, and a couple of pinks. And so this is a really great way for creating backgrounds. Now the pens have a bullet nib on one end and they have a chisel nib on the other. So there's lots of ways to do this, and you can really kind of experiment with how you want to use the markers. You'll notice that the colored end here is your bullet end and the chisel end is the one that is just white. And you can just put down drops of color. You can also do it in shapes, so you can make a more kind of bokeh effect by doing circles. You can really play around with this technique however you want to do it. But really you just want to put down different amounts of color in different places on your project. And as I say, you could seal a canvas. There's some really great Arteza canvases. You could seal one with a varnish or something non-porous, and you could do this technique on there as well. So again, lots and lots of different things you can do. I'm going to take another blue and I'm going to add some more of that in. And you'll want to cover up your whole piece to do a full project. And then all I'm going to take is some isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle. And I'll turn my spray bottle on. And you can see how you can start moving all of those colors around to create some really pretty backgrounds. So as I kind of move this more and more, it fills in all those gaps and you're going to create some really beautiful backgrounds. You can also see how it retains a little bit of that marker there in the background. And therefore you can, if you've done shapes or patterns or things like that, you're going to retain some of that in there. So it's just a really fun way to use your markers to create something a little bit different. And you can make background papers. You could, say, color vinyl. It's a really fun way to be able to color vinyl. You could also use the next technique on vinyl as well as on paper. So I'm going to take two pieces of paper. Now one is always going to be your scrap piece, so it could just be regular printer paper. I'm using a piece of crafting cardstock and I'm using a stencil. Now this is a stencil I designed myself, but you can use any stencil you would like. So I'm just going to put this down on my surface and I'm going to go with my lightest shade of whichever blending arrangement I want to go with. I'm going to go with some tealy blues. So this is 268, 266. and 267. So I like to go in trios typically. There's also this really nice teal trio here. But whatever your lightest color is in your trio is what you're going to want to use. So I'm going to start off with this one here. And first of all, you just want to outline your shape. So it's really trendy, particularly in paper crafting, to do a technique called no-line coloring. And no-line coloring involves exactly what you think. So you stamp out an image, or you can use a stencil for this hack, and it looks like you drew the image and you're an amazing artist, but you really don't need to be, which is great for people like me because we don't all have these awesome drawing skills that lots of people here, when I see these Arteza projects, have. So I want to show you how you can adapt. Now, the best way to color on paper with the Arteza markers, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and things like that. So I'm just outlining my shape, and now I'm coloring it in with my lightest color. So this is 268, which is called Arctic Blue. And the first thing you want to do is make sure you saturate your paper. Now you may wonder why I keep going over it. Is anytime I can see streaks or anything like that, I'm going over it again to make sure that I saturate the paper. And the way that you really know you've saturated is if you can turn it over and see your image. And that's why we have a piece of cardstock underneath here, is to make sure that you don't get any major bleeding. It just goes through to the paper below, and you end up with a nice crisp image. So there's a couple little areas that were patchy on there, so I'm going to make sure I've really saturated that cardstock like this. And now I'm going to start adding in some extra colors. So I'm going to go with my next couple of shades, and I like to go in a flicking technique. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start adding some darker colors. So I'm just going down from the bottom here, and we're going to start blending these out. So again, just outline, color. We're going to go with, just checking my numbers to make sure I've got them right. I'm going to add a little bit of this in here, and this is why we saturate, is because it's really going to help you get those nice blends between all of the colors. So I'm going to try and graduate between 3 colors. Now, the one misnomer I'm going to add is in a blender pen. So a lot of people think, now at this point, I'm going to take my blender pen, I'm going to add that in, and it's all going to come out perfectly. Well, that's really one of those myths that I like to dispel, because a blender pen is more like a bleaching pen, and I'm going to show you in a second what I mean. So I'm just going back in with my lightest shade, and I'm blending out that join between the 2 colors. Now, because my paper was nice and saturated, it's a lot easier to do, to blend those colors together. So I'm just going in here, and I want to use my bullet nim. And then I'm going to use that mid-tone to really help blend out that darker tone. So you're just going to keep going backwards and forwards and blend those 2 together. And you can see how this is now starting to really come together. And then you go back in with that light shade. And you just keep blending these colors together. And you can see how the more I color, the more I blend. And the more I saturate that paper, the nicer that blend becomes. Now, if I were to take a blender pen, which is this one here, so this is the A0, it's called Clear Blender, it's actually going to bleach. So it's great for, like here, I had a little bit of color that came out, so I'm going to push that color back in, and I'm going to correct some of those mistakes. And you can really push color with this, but if I start actually going in to here with the blender pen, you're going to see it's not going to blend, it's going to bleach out. And I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to call this like some texture that I'm adding in. But you can see it's not blending, it's actually bleaching out that color. So a blender pen does not blend, it bleaches. When you're done with it, you can then just go on here. Now, another way to use your blender pen, if I put my stencil back on here, is to do some really fun techniques. So we can take a darker shade here. In fact, I'm going to use the chisel end. And we're going to go tip to tip. So I'm just going to hold this on for a second. You may have seen this technique before. And there's two reasons I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to share with you a couple of different things you can do. So I'm just going along the center of my chisel and picking up some color with my blender pen. And I'm making sure there's lots in my blender pen. Now, the one reason I can do is because now I'm going to have a bleached line in my chisel. So you can add some fun patterns. It's not going to do your pen any harm over time. That's just, you know, if I now leave this for 5 minutes, it'll go back to exactly where it was. But at the same time, I can take this here and I can start in my little teardrop and go up, and it's going to get lighter and lighter. So I start with really dark, or not, I say really dark, it's more pastel-y, but it allows you to put down a lighter shade of the same color that you've been working with. So I can do the same, tip to tip, pick up some color, do my little piece down here. Oops. Again, pick this up, color in, blend out. So you can use it, and you can use it to mix colors in that way, you know, lots and lots of different ways. So I'd love to know what your top tips are as well with the EverBlend markers. But if I lift this up, you can see I have some really light areas. I have some nicely blended, but that blender pen is really for what I call, it's your eraser. So you're going to take it, I'm going to use my clean end, which is my chisel. You're going to start out here and you're going to push that color back in again. And you might have to do it a couple of times to get a really nice clean edge, but it's really going to, you know, fix all of those areas over time. As I say, it does take a couple of goes. Don't do too much at once because you can kind of erode out your paper because you're saturating that bit of paper. But you can see how this is lightening up as I add more and more blender. And I'm pushing that color back in. I'm not scribbling backwards and forwards. I'm going from the outside, I'm not touching my image, and I'm pushing any of those colors back in. So it really does make a difference. So my tips are saturate first with your lightest color, then go to your mid, then go to your dark, and just keep working through those three so you get this really, really nice seamless blend between all of them. You do not use this as a blender pen, use it as a bleaching pen. You can see I added nice texture into my petals here. You can add other colors, you can mix colors. There's lots of different things you can do with your blender pen, but I don't advise doing that with it. You can also do this and make really cool like fur techniques and things. So if you're doing a teddy bear, you can go in and like really speckle it. And again, it might take a couple of goes to get the full effect you want, but you can go in and add these little dots and it'll come out speckled. It just pulls that color out. It's that bleaching pen. So I hope you have enjoyed my lesson here at Arteza Art Camp. Remember, you can also do the backgrounds and then put the color down, spritz it with the isopropyl alcohol and move it around and create some fun techniques. I cannot wait to see what you've done. I also hope you'll join me over at the Hedgehog Hollow, but enjoy the rest of Arteza Art Camp and I'll see you again very, very soon. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.